What's up guys, Alex here from Runner Poker, and today I'm bringing you episode 34 of my poker vlog. Today, we're back in Daytona Beach, playing 2-5 No Limit Texas Hold'em at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club, 8-handed, 200 to 800 buy-in. Let's get right into it. First hand we're gonna look at here, we've got pocket nines in middle position, facing an early position open, not even just early position, a small blind open facing a button straddle to 40. Although this player is loose and aggressive, we gotta treat the mega under the gun range, since they open from the small blind, with some respect. So I decide to call, as does the button straddle. Three ways, 120 in the middle to a flop. When we see one of the most beautiful things you could ask to see, we flop a house. Small blind c-bets for 60, and I decided to just call to see if we can keep the button in, but they fold anyway. Third card incoming, and it comes an ace. Now, this is still a pretty gross card, but small blind checks. I still have a full house, and I want to build a pot, so I bet 120, and they call. River's a jack, and the small blind takes it upon themselves to lead for 160. Now, this is really gross, since we don't actually beat a lot of the better houses. We've got, honestly, one of the worst houses we're going to have in this situation. So I think if I was better, I could lay this down, but I decided I can't fold it and call. We asked the small blind if they have a boat, and they say no, and we take it down. They seemed kind of upset that I took that long to call with a house, but honestly, I think it's reasonable to think for that long, since we don't actually beat a lot of their range.
Sorry for the nit roll.
As if it were scripted, we're now in the small blind, this time with a more speculative hand facing an open from the same player from the previous hand to 30. Now, this should probably just be a fold, but I want a tango. It manages to go heads up, so with 60 in, we get a flop of 3, 8, 9, 2 spades. Pretty wicked draw here with big plans to check raise. We check, but unfortunately, they check too. Now, the turn doesn't give us a flush, but it gives us the bottom end of the straight. Unfortunately though, we don't really get any more value because we reach for chips and they just fold right away, so oh well. But we're running hot, we're running clean, let's see if we can keep it up. Well, it looks like we can keep running it up. We've got nines again, just like the first hand, and we make it 30 to go. Big blind is the only caller, so we're going heads up 60 into a pretty fantastic board that comes 7-3 deuce rainbow. Now, here's what's not very cool. I think I was in mid-conversation when I was playing this hand, and I don't really know if I bet out of turn, but I think I bet 40 out of turn. Interestingly, the big blind calls, and looking back at the footage, I'm pretty surprised to see that they called this large of a bet on this dry of a board. The dealer drops the 5 of diamonds on the turn, and to make things even weirder, I really don't know who bet 100 on this card. I really can't tell by the footage if they bet 100 or if I bet 100, and all I know is that 200 more made it into the pot on this street. To put the nail in the coffin, the dealer puts the 9 on the river, giving us top set. Again, I was mid-conversation, so I snap jammed. And looking back at the footage, they were definitely not happy with this. They know our action will stand, so they kind of just fold. Now, guys, for me, poker is a social game. It's not all about making money, and so I try to be in conversations where I can, but, you know, I got a little out of line for this hand. Elevator man, if you're watching this, just know I'm sorry. For this next hand, I limp behind with Jack 9 of diamonds, and we end up going 5 ways to a flop. Nines are pretty hot right now, as we flop trips on 9-9-6. A VIP on my right leads into the field for 15, and although this board is pretty dry, I want to build a pot right away, so I raise it to 40. Folds back to them, and they call. Turn card incoming, and it comes the 4 of clubs. They check, we bet 60. They call once again. The card is an effective brick. It's actually probably a pretty good card for us if they had king high clubs. They check, and we bet large. They just kind of fold though, but they do show us 6 deuce of clubs for pair plus flush draw. Man, this is why I love Daytona poker. Now, I'm not very proud to show you guys this hand, but I think it's important to document it for player development. Hopefully, I'll be able to look back on this hand in the future and just really realize how far I've come. For this hand, we've got kings facing a button straddle and 2 limps. People don't really like folding in Daytona, so I make it 75 to go. The hand really starts to get weird when the big blind gets really creative and back raises to 225. Man, I hate this spot, because I hate putting our opponent on one exact hand, but like, what else is it? You know? What would y'all do in this spot? I really hate calling a big bet pre-flop and not really having a good game plan for post-flop if we don't flop anything, but I really don't want to fold kings pre-flop. I make the call, and with 460 in, we see a board of all low cards. Big blind continues for the same size, and man, I really don't know what to do. I mean, I don't want to be the guy that's known for folding kings to 1 c-bet on the flop, but I really don't know what to do against this exact range. It's not even a range. I'm putting him on one hand. I was really not in the right headspace to play this hand either. I kept asking myself, what am I doing calling 225 pre-flop just to get here, you know? I eventually convinced myself to let it go. I don't know. And we get absolutely clowned on when our opponent shows us ace-queen. I mean, what do you guys do against the limp back raise of kings? It's one of the most infamous spots, I think. Just makes you really want to throw up in your mouth. I don't know. I hope I can look back at this someday and play better. An exact orbit later, in the same position, we've got ace-king facing a button straddle and only one limp this time. I decide to make it 60. Folds back around to the small blind, who makes the call. So heads up 130 in the middle to a flop. That's fantastic for us. It's ace-8-6 rainbow. Small blind checks, and when check 2, we bet 80. Surprisingly, they call really quickly, which mixed feelings about. Turn card comes a 5. They check, and we bet 150 for value. And then they check rip it right in our face. Man, you know, it didn't really occur to me before I made this bet that the most obvious open-ender of 7-9 has now made the nuts. And also ace-5 has a monster. So not really thinking I beat much of the shove range, I kind of just sit there for a minute and eventually make the fold. Small blind wants to be famous though and shows it for the vlog that they did have 7-9 for having us drawing completely dead.
Show me the vlog.
Ace-5.
It's on camera. The camera's rolling.
Ace-5.
I have the nuts.
The camera's rolling.
Straight.
Nice hit.
I knew I overbet it, but
Nice
I still
hit,
wanted
nice
to. I was just trying to be famous.
Trying to play a hand in position, we're looking down at 6-4 of diamonds on the button, and we decide to limp behind. We end up going 4 ways to this flop, and we flop okay. I mean, we flop some backdoor draws and a gutter. The first 2 players check, there's a bet of 25, we call, and the first 2 players fold. The turn gives us a little bit more equity. It's killed our backdoor flush draw, but it's given us a double gutter. Player bets 50, and honestly, I don't really know how I can justify a call here other than we have outs. We call, especially when the first player checks. I think it's really bad to not go for a bluff here. I mean, our hand looks like a draw, and this card brings in all of the most obvious draws. However, when you're down, especially when things were going right for you in the beginning, decision can definitely get a little skewed. I just decide in moment to give up. We check, and our opponent announces 2 pair and said that they would have called off their entire stack. So maybe we got lucky. Maybe we would have run into the top of their range there. So maybe we scraped by playing bad. It was after those 3 hands that, you know, sometimes it's important to just be able to step back and know that it's time to go. I just realized I was not playing well at all. I was really starting to tilt a little bit, and I hadn't really played for as long as I usually play, but I just decided, wasn't my day, time to go. So after about only 3.5 hours, something like that, we were into the game for 900, out of the game for 800, even though we were up about 500 or 600 at the peak. Yikes. In the interest of continuing to grow my channel and trying to impress YouTube analytics and stuff, I'm going back to the format of doing all the poker in the beginning and doing the B-roll stuff at the end. Right now, I am at Lake Alice at the University of Florida. I mean, just one of the most beautiful places we've got on campus. It's near the bat houses, which I'm hopefully going to get a video of in a minute. And yeah, I think I'm going to try more stationary footage just to try to give a better, I don't know. So remember guys, it's important to get out into the world, see some stuff, meet some people, move your legs, move your body. Keep your body healthy, keep your mind healthy. This is Runner Poker. Have a good one.